Border czar Tom Homan warns Democrats that are attempting to block Trump's deportations that he will pursue arrest. He said, and I quote, "We are coming. You're not going to stop us." This comes right after a new article came out that California County Dems are moving to shield migrants charged with heinous crimes from ICE. Trump wants to deport them. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. Trump wants to deport them. Homan wants to deport them. And yet, even after committing heinous crimes, Democrats are trying to protect migrants. This makes no sense whatsoever, but that's why people voted for Trump, because they want him to get things done. So now that Trump, Mike Johnson, and Homan are releasing new details on the mass deportations that are about to take place, they have stated and have spoken with other countries that they are going to send the illegal migrants back to, and have said that if the Democrats try to stand in their way, they will pursue arrest. It has cost the taxpayers, guys, brace yourselves. It's literally cost the taxpayers almost half of a trillion dollars, almost $500 billion for illegal migrants aid over the past 4 years. And now it's going to cost almost $100 billion to get them out of America. This is all at the taxpayers' expense. Politicians who wanted to have their way to get the votes cost the taxpayers hundreds of billions of dollars, and they're not even going to be held accountable. This is what is so sickening about the elitists and the politicians, that they can use our money and there's no accountability whatsoever besides them just losing it in an election. But we now have Representative Jim Jordan, who is now proposing actions that can be done to fight Biden, not only on the immigration front, but on this last-ditch effort to sell assets of the border wall. He said that this is going to be used for Trump whenever he gets in office, but this could be an act of treason against America, because it not only continues to expose America to foreign threats and terrorists that have walked through the southern border. We have the data, but it continues to allow more people to come into our country unvetted. I have that video details for you in just a moment. And we also have now that Trump, who has already stated that he's going to release the JFK files, the Epstein files, the MLK and 9/11 files, that there's a lot of speculations and leaks around the CIA. Well, Tucker Carlson has just released a new interview with the Bombshell report about the 9/11 attacks. And guys, you're not going to want to miss this. We got a ton of breaking news for you today, guys. It is huge and what's happening. But just want to say thank you to everybody that is subscribed. And if you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button so I can serve you every day with the top news. And if you don't mind, click the thumbs up like button. It really does help to grow the channel, and we appreciate your support so much. If you want to become a member of the channel, the link is in the description to join, and we are so grateful for your support. In less than a week, we're going to be doing our biggest donation on live to a charity ever. And thank you to everybody that gives a super chat donation, guys. We're so thankful for your support. But Trump is making the biggest statements possible today, and I love it because he's doing exactly what we wanted him to do, and that's why we voted for him. Check this out.
And now to President-elect Trump holding a marathon hour-long presser, his first since winning re-election. And in classic Trump form, he was making deals in real time, literally negotiating with the CEO of Japanese investment powerhouse SoftBank, who had just promised a $100 billion investment into the American economy. Watch here.
I'm thrilled to announce that SoftBank will be investing $100 billion in America.
And we were discussing, and President Trump said, Masa, double that is not enough. Maybe, go for more, right?
That's what I'm going to ask him right now. Would you make it $200 billion and say, he'll make it $200 billion investment.
He is a great negotiator.
That's so great. And the Trump media feeding frenzy is back. The president-elect taking question after question. I counted 33. Here he is sparring with reporters.
The administration is trying to sell it for 5 cents on the dollar, knowing that we're getting ready to put it up. And what they're doing is really an act. It's almost a criminal act. We're bringing business back, and they're all coming back. We lost them over years of stupidity, a golden age of America, I call it. It's begun.
How do you plan to stop the ban on TikTok next month?
We'll take a look at TikTok. You know, I have a warm spot in my heart for TikTok because I won youth by 34 points.
Are you entertaining the idea of preemptive strikes against Iran's nuclear facilities?
Am I going to do preemptive strikes on Iran? Is that a serious question? I don't want to insult you. I just think it's just not something that I would ever answer.
Do you want RFK Jr. to revoke any vaccines?
No, I want him to come back with a report as to what he thinks. I think you're going to find that Bobby is a very rational guy. I found him to be very rational.
Jesse, finally going to be able to like put on their running shoes and get ready, because with Biden, they haven't had to do anything over the past 6 months, maybe even a year, right? He hasn't done that much. And if you look at the split screen between what Biden did at the DNC annual Christmas party and then Trump, it's like a tale of two cities. You have a tent that's growing and people are jumping on board, and then people are jumping overboard on the Democratic side, and it was sleepy and filled with regret and sadness.
A lot of shrinkage, you may say, on that side of the table.
I might say.
So, do you remember how venomous the questions were when he was president? It was just an accusation. It wasn't even a question. It's like, are you a traitor or are you a racist? Mm-hmm. I detected a lot more respectful policy questions this time, and I hope it continues. Maybe they were all Breitbart reporters. I don't know. But I liked the tone. So let's keep that up. The SoftBank thing was genius. Because SoftBank, it is the largest venture capital firm in the world. They invest in tech. So when SoftBank invests in anything, everybody gets on board, like herd mentality, right? Like if Buffett or like Nancy Pelosi invests somewhere, everyone's going to get in because you know it only goes up. And negotiating out there in public. Like, imagine you went to the mall with your wife and there was cameras there. And all of a sudden she was like, Jesse, you really love me, right? Let's spend twice as much. And you're looking at reporters like, okay. Okay.
She's a good negotiator.
Yeah, she's a good negotiator. That was really funny. And then he grabbed him here and brought him in like he was 6 years old. It's kind of like, remember when Tampa Bay all of a sudden signed Tom Brady, Dana?
I do remember that.
And then all of a sudden, all the free agents started flocking to the Bucs because they want to be next to Tom Brady. They want a ring. That's what's happening with SoftBank. It's great PR strategy, and it happened during the tax cuts in 2018. Do you remember back then after he signed the Trump tax cuts, and then all of these corporations start making these announcements that they're going to give bonuses? And they're like, I'm going to give a bonus to every employee. Oh, my cash bonus is going to be twice as much. And it was just great PR and great momentum. And this is what you're seeing here. I remember I gave my kids an allowance adjustment. I don't know if you guys saw the press release, but it's great. And to have Biden, who hasn't done a press conference since July 11th.
Wow.
Where he lied and said he was going to stay in.
Yeah.
And see this guy, you remember why Howard Stern said he's the best interview? Because he answers everything.
Yes.
And it's not just because he has convictions and confidence. He has respect for the people.
Every issue.
Energy and excitement. And I think one of the things that he did today on a Monday morning was say, all right, I've got this momentum. How do I keep it going? Give me the ball I can run through.
Yep. And I mean, when you think about how many days, what is it, 36 days before he takes office? Is it something like that? Anyway, he is so energized. He is so organized. He's got, all of these nominations. And he comes out and he says, this is going to be the golden age of America. And then he starts with this guy from SoftBank with $100 billion, promising 100,000 new jobs for Americans.
Let's go.
I mean, you realize that he has the capacity to deliver. He has the capacity to unite the country. He has the capacity, to unite the party. And I don't think there's any greater example of that than there was at the Army-Navy game. Because it's not just the Army-Navy game, when they went crazy with chants of USA, USA. But think about who he was in that box with. He's got Elon and J.D. Vance, and he's got Vivek and Mike Johnson and Danny Penny. And he's got all of these people to show that the Republican Party is united. No more rhinos. You're a rhino. Get lost. You don't matter anymore.
Yeah.
What he's got is a united party, a united country. And then you got a guy like Van Jones who says, hey, dude, this guy's smarter than me and you. So you've not got the left saying this guy is really smart. He's going to deliver for us. And then we no longer have to deal with the frustration of Joe Biden turning his bobbing head and just, making a turnaround with a sarcastic smile and not answering questions. It was insulting to all of us. So I'm very excited about all of this. I think it's going to be great. And I think the fear mongering, if the left decides they want to get started, I think it's just going to be, outweighed by the support that the left has, because the left wants safety, they want jobs, they want security, and it's something that we all want.
Guys, and I'm telling you this, you can't make up what we're seeing right here, and that's why Trump and Homan are doubling down on what they're planning to do with the mass deportations, with immigration to protect America, because of stuff like this. This is from the Daily Caller. California County Dems move to shield migrants charged with heinous crimes from ICE. They literally passed a bill making them a super sanctuary city where they're literally going to protect even the migrants that have been committed rape or burglary or theft or assault, that they will not report them to ICE. That's how messed up some of these Democrats are. And what's even more messed up is this right here, guys, that $2 million in FEMA funds were just awarded for holiday travel to illegal immigrants by California politicians. Listen to this.
Get this. $2 million in FEMA money was just awarded to illegal aliens in California for holiday travel. United States citizens have lost their home because of floods and hurricanes, and they get nothing for Christmas. But the far leftists here want to make sure that illegal aliens have walking around money just in time for the holidays.
Guys, I'm telling you, when this news comes out, it blows my mind, because it's we have Americans that need help so bad, and yet they continue to step over Americans to help out an illegal immigrant. They should lose their office position in a heartbeat. But because of the way that we have things now, they don't. On top of that, listen to this.
Folks, it's New York Post story. If this isn't a kick in the Johnson, I don't know what is here. So here's the damage. Because Biden has no political power and he has no political capital, he's leaving office bitter and angry when he can remember who he is, which is rare. So he's eager to give you the double barrel. New York Post, Biden administration quietly clears away border wall parts for an auction ahead of Trump's second term. Folks, this is an auction in name only. The goal, quote, is to move all of it off the border before Christmas. The materials are being transported to an air park in Arizona where it's being sold to GovPlanet, an online auction house specializing in military surplus, with bidding start at just $5. I've got a recommendation. Some rich billionaire out there should go out and buy this stuff for the $5 and then donate it back to the government so Donald Trump can get his border wall built without the taxpayers having to buy back the stuff that this loser sold off. Do you see what he's doing? He's giving you the middle finger. He's trying to make building a border wall and keeping the United States really, really hard. He wants to make sure, unlike Stuart Thompson doesn't want to acknowledge it's having sex traffickers. Biden wants to make sure sex traffickers have an easy time at no border wall. Drug dealers, terrorists, human smugglers. This is what Joe Biden's doing. Joe Biden will go down, I promise you, when this is all done, as the worst president in modern U.S. history. There will be no parallel. I don't even think you can possibly be as bad as this guy. This guy makes Obama look like the Ronald Reagan of the right. This guy is a total train wreck. He wants to hurt you. He wants to make sure the country is in a world of hurt. I know Stewart's like, oh my gosh, they're stoking outrage. Stewart's not outraged about Joe Biden selling off the border wall you bought, because Stuart Thompson, these guys at the New York Times, this is the kind of stuff they're ideologically behind. They love the idea of open borders and all this other stuff. It's disgusting. This guy can do a lot of damage. Keep your eye on the prize, folks. Don't look past what's happening for the next 30 days. We got the holidays coming up, and my suspicion is with the Christmas holiday, and you're going to see like the numbers go down for everyone. People, understandably, they're celebrating with their families, they're traveling. People get generally what, like a 10% drop, guys, around the holidays or something? It's all across the board. There's nothing you can do about it, unless there's some major breaking news story. And, you know, that's fine, right? Joe Biden's White House knows that. They know people's eyeballs are distracted. Just watch. I guarantee you this guy's not done with all the damage he's going to cause. So I wanted to throw this out there. I want to just talk about this drone story because, again, because nobody trusts Stuart Thompson or the Biden administration, this drone UAP story has morphed into something crazy at this point. Nobody knows what to believe anymore. I'm an Occam's razor guy. I would love to believe it is just a couple recreational drone club guys playing with a drone hovering above the ground. I would love to believe that.
Nope.
The problem I'm having with this, folks, is because the government is such and the New York Times and Washington Post are such purveyors of misinformation that they won't just tell us or state the obvious, says to me something's going on. There are a bunch of theories out there. I'm not going to call them conspiracy theories because that's always used as a pejorative. And I'm not willing to discount anything. But Walter Kern, I follow on Twitter, he said the drones in New Jersey may be looking for a very serious weapon. Good source. I don't know that to be true at all. I just want to put that out in advance. I've not heard that.
Guys, I'm sorry to interrupt, but let me tell you this. If the United States says we don't know what they are, we don't know where they're from, we're not willing to shoot them down, we're not willing to capture them in any way, shape, or form, or fashion, then it has to be our own government that is testing out these drones or whatnot. Mark me. I want to be fact-checked one day. We find out what the crap these things are because it makes literally no sense that we can't even shoot them down. What if these are enemy drones? Like surveillance and whatnot. It literally makes no sense. And everybody is, guys, we're being gaslit. I 100% believe that.
It doesn't mean it's true or untrue. It just means I haven't heard it. I'm just telling you it's out there. I don't know, folks. I have a theory on this, too. I think it aligns with Homan Jenkins at the Wall Street Journal has been writing about this often, that this may, in fact, be foreign governments doing what foreign governments do, like China did with the spy balloon, which is they're just trying to surveil sensitive locations in the United States. It seems to be the Occam's razor solution. It requires you to assume the least. If the drones were looking for, say, a nuclear weapon that was smuggled into the United States, it requires you to assume that a nuclear weapon was smuggled into the United States. Not impossible. I'm not telling you it didn't happen. I want to be careful. I'm not telling you it didn't happen. I'm just telling you when I don't know something, I always go with the simplest explanation. And Jenkins seems pretty legit. The theory is that these foreign governments are surveilling sensitive locations with drone technology, and we don't know what to do with it. The military doesn't want to shoot it down because it's going to land somewhere, and nobody knows how to tell the public we can't secure the airspace. Folks, tell me in the chat, because guys, watch the chat, because I want to see, what do you think happened? Do you think that theory's crazy? Because to me, that seems like the Occam's razor one. Here's why I say it, too. I want you to watch this. I interviewed Mayorkas this weekend, our DHS secretary in name only, who's a total joke of a human being. This guy's a gross corruptocrat. I can't stand him. But they're not long clips. They're about a minute each. But first, he tries to tell Wolf Blitzer on CNN how these things, they're sure they're not a threat, but then isn't sure what this is what I don't understand. How do you know they're not a threat if you don't know what they are? It's like looking at some fancy weapon you've never seen before. Oh, that's not a threat. What is it? Gee, I don't know. Well, how the hell you know it's not a threat? Listen to part one. And in the second part, I think you're going to see my theory about them not knowing how to get these things out of the sky and that they're foreign is right. But listen to part one first. No threat, folks. Don't worry. Check this out.
President-elect Donald Trump, he just called on the Biden administration for you guys to either release any information it has about these mysterious drone sightings or shoot the drones out of the sky. How do you respond to the president-elect?
Well, first of all, the statements I've made already are the principal message that I want to communicate to the American public. We haven't seen anything unusual. We know of no threat. Secondly, we have gone to Congress repeatedly asking for more authority to counter drone activity. And we have also asked for more authority to give to the state and local officials under our supervision, because it correctly notes those authorities need to be expanded.
Okay, so I'm reading hold on, I'm gonna get on the microphone. I do that. I have the worst microphone habits at all. I'm really sorry about that. A lot of people are saying this is like some government psyop, that they're looking for extra drone authority, which, you know, ordinarily I'd say, I'm not so sure. You may be right. That could very well be the government putting these up there to get a media story out there so everybody panics and they go, oh, look, we need authority over the sky. Shut it down. Possible.
Guys,
folks, it's New York Post story.
It's to me, it's all, whatever they're doing, they're trying to get more control. If people can't fly drones, if they can't do anything like that, and only they're saying, well, because of threats, only the military can, then how can, like, people have the right, if they want to see something, to be able to see something, because everything has to go through the government. And think about that. You have to register a drone to fly, and then the government gets access to that, and then they can just use any surveillance that they want. Guys, it's just really messed up. I just don't believe anything that I've heard thus far, but I do think it's the government. I want to show you this, guys, because earlier I showed you that Prime Minister Justin Trudeau of Canada, they're saying that there's words that he may resign because he can't handle Trump and the tariffs. And now, guys, within one day, within hours, 60 members of the Canadian Parliament have signed a letter calling on disgraced Canada Prime Minister Justin Trudeau to resign immediately. Guys, I would love to see Canada become a state of the United States, because they got a lot of, I don't really care about the hockey part, but they do have a lot of oil and land that we could use and help grow the footprint of the United States. But it's just, it's so funny how things around the world are changing so drastically because Trump is about to be president. But what else is changing is that every single left-wing media outlet is about to be sued by Donald Trump. He has already sued ABC and won a $15 million lawsuit. He's filing another lawsuit with CBS 60 Minutes. And they already have another lawsuit coming with CNN and MSNBC over their, he states, election interference. Listen to what he says about this.
One on 60 Minutes, you know about that, where they took Kamala's answer, which was a crazy answer, a horrible answer, and they took the whole answer out and they replaced it with something else she said later on in the interview, which wasn't a great answer, but it wasn't like the first one. The first was grossly incompetent. It was weird. And that was fraud and election interference by their news magazine, a big part of CBS News.
Right there, fraud and election interference, guys. Like, it's not going to stop. And the big part about this is that now that he's won the ABC lawsuit, this gives him more credence to win the other lawsuits as well. Like, is this not insane? It is, to me, total retribution for them lying for the past 7 years about Trump and all the Russia collusion, all the Hunter Biden laptop, all these things that he said that he never said. To me, it's like finally we're seeing justice. But what I love more is I love seeing where congressmen are stepping in to help fight Biden, to help fight against Biden with the border wall. Check this out.
Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan, chair of the House Judiciary Committee. Mr. Jordan, as always, welcome back, sir. So, I mean, don't you think it's sort of petty and low down and cheap and dumb? I mean, they know what the priorities are, selling that stuff for 5 cents on the dollar. And by the way, as you may know, that stuff is not, that equipment is not cheap when you have to buy it new.
No.
No, it's just one more dumb thing, as you said, one more dumb thing that this administration has done. And remember, this is all intentional, particularly when it comes to the border. They decided on day one that they were no longer going to build the wall, no longer have remain in Mexico, and when you got to the border, you wouldn't be detained, you would be released. So, I mean, they want an open border policy, and now this is almost adding insult to injury. Oh, by the way, we're going to sell parts of the wall here, section of the wall for, as President Trump said, for next to nothing. Just, again, one more example of how bad this administration. Someone asked me a few months back during the campaign, they said, Congressman, is there anything good you can say about the Biden administration? And I tried to be fair. I actually stopped and thought about it for a second. I said, no, I can't think of anything. Record inflation, wide open border, the debacle that was the exit from Afghanistan, and on it goes. So this is just one more example of how bad it is. And the good news is in 30-some days, President Trump will be taking the oath of office and be the President of the United States.
Well, speaking of all this, I'm sure you're in touch with the Doge brothers and their government efficiency. I call them the Doge brothers. Yeah. They don't dance as well as the Blues brothers, but they almost dance as well. Don't you think government bureaucrats ought to show up for work? Like, you can't work at home, work in the bathtub, work on your gym, work on your abs. Instead, you should come to work. And if you don't want to come to work, maybe you should lose your job.
Of course. I mean, start, cutting as much as you can, looking to reduce regulations, which will help our economy take off, along with the tax cuts you were talking about in the previous section. But then show up to work, for goodness sake. Of course, you're more productive when you show up for work. I think, what is it, less than half the people who work in the federal bureaucracy actually come to work here in D.C. They're all working remote from Maryland or Virginia or wherever they happen to be. So, yeah, of course you got to show up to work. Everyone knows you're more efficient. You're better when you do that. Yes. But unfortunately, we don't have people in our government doing so.
Well, there was something about a 5-year waiver. I mean, that's just absolutely crazy. And it's one of the many things that Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy have to stop before killing the regulatory state. So I know you'd rather talk about the economy and supply-side economics than almost anything else on your legislative agenda. So let me just ask you, doesn't it make sense? You heard the opening segment with Laffer and Moore and Grover Norquist, 3 very smart fellows. I mean, wouldn't it make sense to put it all into one big reconciliation package?
I knew you were going to ask me.
Do the liquid gold, do the border. I'm all for the border, but why don't you extend the tax cuts? Don't delay them.
Well, I'm for getting it all done. I don't care. As I said before, I don't care if it's 1 or 2. I want to do what we told the American people we were going to do, what they elected us to do. Let's get it done as quickly as possible. And whether that's a 2-part strategy or a 1-part strategy, I don't really care. I think it's already the horses left the barn. I think it's going to be 2 parts, 1 early, but that doesn't mean you have to delay the second. You get after the second right away. Pass the first. Give President Trump the resources he needs to secure the border, and then get on with the tax cuts and get those done as quickly as possible. I think that's where we're headed. So let's just make sure we get it done to get our economy moving like we know it was back when you were working in the White House, when you were doing these great supply side tax cuts. Let's get back to those as quick as we can.
Can you actually think about, I mean, this is a legitimate question. So some people are saying, and Mr. Thune has agreed to come on the show, so we'll talk about it, and he's a good guy. None of this is personal. This is a question of legislative strategy. If you can get the first reconciliation bill done, I don't know, in 30 days or 60 days. I'm not sure you can. You only got 1 or 2 votes there, majority. But suppose you can. Can you get a tax bill out by July 4th? In other words, by the Independence Day holiday, could you put a tax bill in front of Mr. Trump so he can sign it?
Boy, I sure hope so, and that would be the objective. That would be the goal. You know how Congress gets. Sometimes you get in these skirmishes, and I understand. I've been around this business for a while, but I think you have this momentum behind us in light of what the people said on November 5th, and of course you have President Trump, who everyone knows is coming in to fix things and change things and put back in common sense policies. So I do think we can get it done that quick, and that's certainly our objective.
Well, I don't mean to obsess about it, but I suppose I am obsessing about it. But I don't know how many bites out of the apple. I mean, Jason Smith's a real smart guy, Ways and Means chair.
He sure is.
He's very worried about how many bites of the apple you're going to get. You've never had 2 successful reconciliation bills in history. And again, you've only got a very thin, razor-thin majority in the House. You're right, the die may be cast, but I'm sort of giving this rear guard thing. Jim Jordan, last question.
I hope we do 3. I mean, we have the potential to do 3. We got each of the fiscal years, and we're kicking one into next year. So 25, 26, and the 27 fiscal year, we got a chance to do 3 reconciliations and really get things done for the American people. So let's use all 3 if we can, but let's do it as quickly as possible.
All right, all 3. Don't you think it's terribly, terribly important that Kash Patel be the new FBI director after all the stuff that's come out about Ray and the, I'm sure the field agents are good people and so forth, and they're the old G-men fighting crime. Yeah. But it's been, left-wing corruption at headquarters now for too many years.
Yeah, no, I hope he makes it. He's exactly what we need. I think here's the big irony. Last week, the Inspector General had 2 reports that came out. One of those reports was about how when Chris Wray first took over at the FBI, they were spying on members, Capitol Hill staffers. And of course, one of those staffers who had his metadata taken by the FBI and examined was Kash Patel, the very guy who's going to replace him. So I think it's critical without Kash Patel, we don't learn about what the FBI did when they spied on President Trump's campaign. So I hope he's our next FBI director, and I know he's the kind of guy who can fix that operation.
Yes, sir, absolutely. Anyway,
guys, this is beautiful. Like, with Trump coming in, and there's a lot of people that are actually stepping up to back him to make this super just, I would say generational change within our government. Even Senator Tom Cotton came out because he said, I write to demand full accountability and transparency from the Department of Defense about its role in the disposal of excess border wall materials from the first Trump administration. Like, everybody's writing the bills, checking into it, and trying to figure out what the heck went on, because they know that Trump's going to use the wall. Yet, remember, in 2017, 2018, Trump didn't have this support. He didn't have 96% of the GOP approval in the House and in the Senate. But now he does. And so with this, we're seeing more and more people across the board stepping in to try to help fight and make sure that America is put first with all these things that they're trying to do. Even our boy Scott Jennings, check this out, because you can't make this up with what we're seeing.
Joe Biden is leaving office making the strongest possible case for Donald Trump that anybody could possibly make it, and that's that our government and our justice system is of, by, and for the elites and nobody else. He ran to banish Trumpism from our political system in this country, and he has left it politically and now institutionally the strongest possible political force in this country. It is a complete and utter failure by the head of the Democratic Party and the President of the United States. Never again do I want to hear, oh, Donald Trump's a liar. You can't believe anything he says. Donald Trump will abuse his power. Donald Trump will only use the system to benefit himself and his family and so on and so forth. Never again. I have one question for Karen, and that is, why did he need an 11-year blanket pardon going back to 2014 when Joe Biden was the vice president? We are sitting on the biggest cover-up of who knows what crimes, and Joe Biden amazingly knows exactly, roughly, when it started. He knows just about when it all started. He's leaving office in complete and total disgrace. He is a liar, and there is no other way to spin this today. This has nothing to do with Trump and everything to do with the character
of Joe Biden. Like, that's exactly where we're at right now, guys. And this is the thing. I love it that Scott Jennings fights for it and shows us, even on CNN, tells the truth, because they need the truth too, guys. Want to say, Chip Trap, thank you so much for the super chat. Said, can we just start referring to Trump's dream team as the Justice League? 100%. I'm going to find that picture of them as the Justice League. Y'all show Chip some love in the chat, everybody. But check this out, guys, because Trump is winning big time.
Investors see SoftBank come in like this and they want to get in too. It's like when Pelosi buys a stock. You know it's going up. The CEO of TikTok also stopped by Mar-a-Lago today. And over the weekend, Apple CEO Tim Cook popped in for dinner.
How was your meeting with Apple CEO Tim Cook?
I did have dinner with Tim Cook. I had dinner with sort of almost all of them, and the rest are coming. And this is one of the big differences, I think, between, we were talking about it before, one of the big differences between the first term. In the first term, everybody was fighting me.
Yep.
In this term, everybody wants to be my friend. I don't know. My personality changed or something.
Mark Zuckerberg made the pilgrimage just a few weeks back, and sources say Trump had him stand up with his hand to his heart while the January 6th choir sung the national anthem. Remember, Facebook banned Trump after Jan 6th? And now Trump sneaks in the J6 choir, so Zuckerberg has to stand. Power move. Bezos is coming to dinner this week with his wife, Lauren Sanchez. And all of these CEOs are giving Trump $1 million each for his inaugural. The Winter White House has been getting flooded with calls from C-suite executives.
I've had the smartest people on Wall Street call me. They said, where'd you get that idea? And it doesn't seem that complicated, right? But it's it's like the paperclip. Nobody ever thought of it. One guy thought of it. Everybody looked at it. They said, wow, that was a good idea. Why didn't I think of it?
All the action takes place after dark. Trump's a well-known night owl and revs up when the sun goes down. He's announcing nominations, hosting dinners, making calls after midnight. Well, Biden's been asleep since 7. World leaders have been burning up the phones for weeks trying to get tickets for the inaugural balls.
Which other world leaders have you invited to the inauguration?
The world leaders are calling me, and some
Are they
really
coming?
would like to meet. No, I mean, literally, they're calling me, and I'll be seeing some of them. I think it's rude not to. I mean, it's hard to say I'm not going to see you. And I've spoken to way over 100 where they called to congratulate on not only the election, but the size of the election, the extent of the victory. And they were great. I mean, I spoke to over 100 countries. You wouldn't believe how many countries there are. And I'm trying the best I can to get back to everybody.
If you're one of the countries that hasn't called to congratulate Trump yet, don't think he doesn't notice. Trump slugging Diet Cokes, blasting Pavarotti, sitting around the table holding pitch meetings with CEOs and trade talks with prime ministers. He just spoke to Netanyahu and has a warning for the whole Middle East. Listen.
We had a very good talk. We discussed what is going to happen, and I'll be very available on January 20th, and we'll see. As you know, I gave warning that if these hostages aren't back home by that date, all hell's going to break out.
Ooh. Trump's dangling carrots and sticks to friends and foes. Tariffs, airstrikes, investment deals, lawsuits, while the man technically still president is sabotaging them.
We ordered an additional 200 miles of wall. It's very expensive, and now it's about double the price of what it would have been 6 years ago. And the administration is trying to sell it for 5 cents on the dollar, knowing that we're getting ready to put it up. And what they're doing is really an act. It's almost a criminal act. They know we're going to use it, and if we don't have it, we're going to have to rebuild it, and it'll cost double what it cost years ago, and that's hundreds of millions of dollars. And that's really, that has nothing to do with a smooth transition. That has to do with people really trying to stop our nation.
It's not just Joe Biden slowing things down. Republican senators still doing a lot of posturing over Trump's cabinet nominees. The president-elect says it's time to stop the shenanigans.
Senators who oppose your nominees, your cabinet nominees, should they be primary?
If they are unreasonable, I'll give you a different answer, an answer that you'll be shocked to hear. If they're unreasonable, if they're opposing somebody for political reasons or stupid reasons, I would say has nothing to do with me. I would say they probably would be primaried. But if they're reasonable, fair, and really disagree with something or somebody, I could see that happening.
Trump's sticking to his people. But he's telling his nominees they'll have less money and less headcount. So he says he expects them to do more with less. People close to him say he's following his instincts and isn't going to second guess himself when Republican politicians beg him to be more cautious.
Yes.
The typical people are lobbying him to go easy on tariffs and are angling for their own little carve-outs. But Trump has a strategy, and insiders say he's sticking to his guns. Mitt Romney admits the days of the Republican establishment are over. Get on the train or get tied to the tracks.
Donald Trump won. He won overwhelmingly. He said what he was going to do, and that's what he's doing. You can't complain about someone who does what he said he was going to do. MAGA is the Republican Party, and Donald Trump is the Republican Party today.
Donald Trump's popularity is at a 7-year high. He knows it, and so does everyone else. This is the difference between a shocking victory in 2016 and a commanding victory in 2024. Still, some Democrats are boycotting the inauguration. One Hispanic congresswoman says she doesn't feel safe coming with all the Trump supporters pouring in from the ceremony.
Wow.
So they let millions of gangbangers into the country, but she doesn't feel safe when a few American citizens come to D.C.
That is insane.
And this just in. New York Judge Juan Rashan is refusing to dismiss Trump's hush money conviction, even after the Supreme Court ruled on presidential immunity. Other Democrats are saying, just get over it. Trump outsmarted us, and the country's behind him.
Donald Trump is not an idiot. Donald Trump, let me just be very clear. Donald Trump is smarter than me, you, and all critics. You know how I know? This dude is a phenomenon. He is the most powerful human on earth and in our lifetime. And we're still saying, well, how was this guy? We look like idiots to ordinary.
You're totally right. Make America Great Again wasn't just a slogan. It was always the mission. Valuetainment founder.
Guys, I'm telling you, like, the amount of stuff that's coming out, what I'm about to show you next, guys, Trump's not playing around. He's going after everybody, including the pollsters, because they were fundamentally, to me, colluding with all the mainstream media, trying to make it look like the race was going to be close. Trump literally won all 7 swing states. And now that we have all the data, and I know that, hindsight's 2020, but listen to this, because Trump said, I'm coming after them. I'm going to sue them as well as these mainstream media news stations. Check this out.
I'm going to be bringing one against the people in Iowa, their newspaper, which had a very, very good pollster who got me right all the time. And then just before the election, she said I was going to lose by 3 or 4 points, and it became the biggest story all over the world because I was going to win Iowa by 20 points. The farmers loved me, and I loved the farmers. And it was interesting the way she did it. She brought it down 2 weeks before. She said I was going to only win by 4. That was a big story. But that was good because she brought it down from like 22 points to 4. Or whatever the number was, way up, an easy win. We never even thought to go there. I respect them, I love them, and they understand there's no reason to go there because she brought it from way up, walk away, which it was, and it turned out to be in the election too, by the way. It was a win by many, many points. And then she brought it down very smartly to 4 a couple of weeks before, and everyone said, wow, that's amazing. He's only up by 4 points. Then she brought it down to where I was down by 3 or 4, whatever number she used. And that was the Des Moines Register, and it was their parent. And in my opinion, it was fraud, and it was election interference. She's gotten me right always. She's a very good pollster. She knows what she was doing. And she then quit before. And we'll probably be filing a major lawsuit against them today or tomorrow. We're filing one on 60 Minutes, you know about that, where they took Kamala's answer, which was a crazy answer, a horrible answer, and they took the whole answer out and they replaced it with something else she said later on.
Guys, I'm telling you, the lawsuits are coming. Trump, now that he's won, he's not playing around, guys. This dude is 100% ready to go after every single one of these outlets that, even in my opinion, they were election interference. And also, too, just to release the truth to the American people. Guys, this interview just came out today, guys, and this is Bombshell Report about September 11th from Tucker Carlson. Check this out.
promises of the new administration is massive declassification, is pardons for...
Please, if it could only be. This would change so much.
So one of the things that I'm interested in learning about is 9/11, because I think it's important to understand why that happened. And I think my guess is that one of the reasons so many documents from 9/11 are still classified 23 years later, it's hard to imagine why, is because they tell a more detailed story about why al-Qaeda struck the United States. And it seems clear it was a response to, and I'm not defending it, of course, obviously, but it was still cause and effect. And the cause was American foreign policy, was a response to that. A, do you think that's true? And B, if it is true, then how afraid should we be about future terror attacks given what we've been doing?
Well, let me say something about declassification. We had one and only one close look at the CIA in its entire history of the last 77
1974.
years. And that was actually 74, 75. It'll be the 50th anniversary this coming year of the Church Committee.
Yep.
It was the only time that there was even a partial look inside what the CIA had been doing. What they uncovered was a viper's nest of stupidity, evil, disaster, and, of course, unbelievable unaccountability. They uncovered, of course, numerous assassination plots. They uncovered an absolutely shocking and awful program called MK Ultra, which was a massive warped program for trying for mind control, where they took innocent people, vagrants, off the streets of Times Square and shot them up with drugs or drove them to suicide through sleep deprivation, every kind of shocking thing you can't even make up, and that made for great movie series like the Bourne series, which is about MK Ultra, in fact. Now, that was 1975. We've gone 50 years of further secretive operations. I've mentioned one of them, the timber sycamore, but that's one of many. I've seen many myself by accident because I'm not in the security field. I'm an economist, but I'm around lots of governments. I'm all over the world. I've seen coups with my own eyes. I've seen the U.S. role in these coups. I've seen things that are absolutely disgusting, not because people are showing me secret documents. I don't even want to see those, by the way. I see them because I happen to be told or shown or walked around the Maidan soon after a coup overthrew Yanukovych, and people explained things to me which I found completely awful about American complicity in all of this. I had a president in the Western Hemisphere say to me, "Jeff, they're going to take me out," and I said, "No, everything's going to be fine." And CIA took them out in broad daylight.
Yep.
So
Dang.
We have no review of any of this. We have gone to war repeatedly on false pretenses. We have gone to war repeatedly in so-called covert operations. They're not covert to the people being affected.
Well, that's right.
But we just hear denials. We hear stupidity from the New York Times, a complete imbecility, childishness, that they don't want to ask any single question. What about the Maidan? What was the U.S. government doing there? Well, it's easy enough to find out. What were the decisions taken in overthrowing various regimes? What about a number of assassinations that we have every forensic reason to know were conspiracies that the U.S. never allowed to be understood. Whether any of this is ever found, I don't know. But if it is, it would change the course of America back to a true republic. Because what happened in this country is that we were overtaken by the security state.
Yeah.
And we became a system of confidentiality and unaccountability. And it's a big, massive machine. And a lot of people are paid to keep quiet or to salute whatever the military-industrial complex or the intelligence agencies are doing without asking questions. Because when you have $1.5 trillion a year spent on that, you're a pretty big business. And it has affected the universities, the think tanks, of course, the Congress, which asks no questions of any serious kind. And so major events of fundamental significance for our insecurity take place without any truth-telling at
promises of the new administration.
I'm telling you, like, it's crazy to say this, but the deep state, they call it the machine, we just defeated, but it still has to be removed. Because again, too, if you don't, we're voting the right people in, but we also got to make sure that we clean house like never before. Right now, look at this chart right here. So today, the Democrat senators introduced a bill to abolish the Electoral College and to elect the president by popular vote. Really? Think about it, guys. Donald Trump just won the popular vote, right? But there's 20+ million illegal immigrants who, if we can't get them out in the next 3 to 5 years, are going to be able to apply for permanent residency somewhere and become citizens. And guess who they're going to vote for? And if it's done by the popular vote, you take Kamala Harris's 71 million votes and add 15 million. Now the next Democrat's at 86, even with Donald Trump's historic 77 million votes. It's all a sham play of control, guys. There's a reason why they want to abolish the Electoral College. There's a reason why they let all the illegal immigrants in. It's all about the control. And at this very last minute, Biden is literally screwing over America big time right now. Guys, watch this. Like, you cannot make this stuff up, but it's so bad that our president is literally doing this.
Get it together before he's kicked out of office next month.
We're going to change America for decades to come. But we did know that many of the laws we passed were so consequential they wouldn't be implemented right away. The biggest investment ever in climate in the history of the world, and fundamentally transforming our economy to grow from the middle out and the bottom up, not just the top down. This takes time to get it built. It takes time to get it going. It's not going to happen for another 5-6 months in many places. Just getting started.
Just getting started. On the way out the door. Biden's climate agenda is just his latest effort, of course, to Trump-proof the government. His EPA announced that it's going to spend $1.6 billion of your money in grants for environmental justice. We warned you about this. Addressing the diverse and unique needs of disadvantaged communities. Now, the grants are going to create the Bronx Climate Justice Task Force, oh God, in New York, EV charging stations in multiple states. I thought they were supposed to do that. And establish an environmental justice center in Tennessee, among other things. What could go wrong? It's the single largest investment in environmental and climate justice in history, they say. Well, we know what this is. This is just like stealing from one group and giving it to another. And there'll be a lot of scams along the way and a lot of really bad people hired to push it forward. Joining me now is Utah Senator Mike Lee. Senator, just like with Ukraine, Biden's handing out all this money so Trump can't stop him or thinks he can't stop him. Is there anything Congress can do before Trump actually is sworn into office?
There's a lot Congress can and should do to restore the executive power to the executive branch of government. One of the things I think Congress needs to do is to repeal the Impoundment Control Act, which itself ties the hands of presidents of the United States so that in order to not spend the full amount that Congress has given them, in fact, to delay it for more than 45 days, the president has to come back hat in hand to Congress asking for permission to do that. That, Laura, is part of why we're now $36 trillion in debt. And that's one of the many reasons why we need to pass the legislation that I've introduced in the Senate and that Representative Andrew Clyde from Georgia has introduced in the House to repeal this bill that's stopping presidents from being able to clean up messes like this one.
Well, but Biden's using his executive authority to spend. I mean, he's happy with having a very strong executive right now, Senator. So he's going to keep spending until January 20th, right? I mean, the answer is there's nothing you can do about it, correct?
Well, if we were to pass it right away and somehow get that passed into law, then it would work. But while he's still the president, and while we've still got this ill-advised law from 1974 on the books, then what that means is that the advantage is always going to be to the president and to the party that likes bigger government, that likes more spending, and that likes more debt. And that's what's so tragic about this. They're trying to Trump-proof our government to insulate themselves from the election.
Yeah, no, climate justice, I mean, environmental justice, it is a complete and utter scam. And it's going to be the next Solyndra of expenditures, but except a lot worse. Now, Senator Trump told NBC News that he's going to try to end birthright citizenship. Watch.
We have to end it. We're the only country that has it.
Through an executive action.
You know, we're the only country that has it. Do you know, if somebody sets a foot, just a foot, 1 foot, you don't need two, on our land, congratulations, you are now a citizen of the United States of America. Yes, we're going to end that because it's ridiculous.
Senator, we have a constitutional provision that a lot of top scholars say, can't do it without an amendment. Is that true?
They're not speaking accurately. Look, those who take that position are ignoring 6 words in that sentence from the 14th Amendment. The words are, and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. What the 14th Amendment says is that all persons born in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they shall reside. Now, subject to the jurisdiction thereof is something that can and should be defined by Congress. And Harry Reid himself proposed that we do that in the early 1990s.
Well, let's hope that...
Guys, I'm telling you, there's so much that I want to show you this that is happening with illegal alien cost. I showed this in the earlier today's show, but I want to show it again just because this is all illegal alien cost from 2022. When you do the math, you're ending up, guys, in hundreds of billions. Excuse me. Hundreds of billions of dollars a year. And this money doesn't come from nowhere. It comes from you and me. And I just think about, I get so irritated because, you know, we're all here in our own lives. We're trying to take care of our families, trying to buy a house or trying to buy a car, trying to take care of our kids, child care costs, groceries, and we've got to pay taxes. You don't even get a choice. If you don't pay your taxes, they'll come and try to put you in jail. And yet, these politicians, with no discretion in mind, with no question to ask they don't even ask us. They go and they spend hundreds of billions of dollars each year on other people that are not even U.S. citizens. And this is, to me, why we need such revolutionary reform in the White House with the elitists, with politicians. They should not be able to spend taxpayer dollars on other non-U.S. citizens without U.S. citizens' consent. If they had the American people's consent, we wouldn't spend a dime on anybody else. Why? Because it's our money, and we have people trying to live on Social Security that are barely getting $1,000 a month, if that, a check, trying to live on that. And you can't tell me that that's right. Mr. Norby back in the house. Let's go. Guys, I'm telling you, the closer we get to Trump's being president, the more Biden is doing all the stupidest actions ever as a president, and we need reform more than ever. And I just want to say thank you to everybody that's watching. If you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button so I can serve you every day with the top news. And if you don't mind, click the thumbs up like button. It really does help. Guys, I appreciate y'all so much. We couldn't do this without you. Thank you to all of our members. Thank you to everybody that's given a super chat donation, guys. Thank you so much, Chip Trap. Y'all show Chip some love in the chat, guys. Thank you to everybody that supports us. We want to get the truth out every single day, and we want to make sure that you get to see the actual real news of what's going on. Because if there's anything that's going to change, it's with people knowing the facts, voting the right way, being able to share these videos across social media or wherever so that people can see the truth. And just want to say I love y'all so much. Appreciate your support, guys, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.